Okay, thank you. Would you do me the honor of kicking off this talk?
Start. Oh, too late.
Thank you very much for that. Welcome to the MedCup Media Corner. And today we will have our highs and lows, and I mean it in the best possible way. Because we're going to touch upon topics such as space, underwater, and also oxygen. Because joining us today is Dr. Costantino Balestra. He is a professor specializing in environmental physiology of extreme conditions, and he's also produced research ranging from neurophysiology of fatigue to extreme environments like space, high altitudes, and underwater. Dr. Balestra has also contributed to research programs for NASA, European Space Agency, and private companies. Let me also add that he's written several books and that he's teaching medical students all over the world. But today, we are very happy to have you here, Dr. Balestra. Welcome.
Thanks.
So, to me, for instance, who doesn't have a medical background, how would you explain environmental physiology?
Well, this started a few years ago when we first wanted to send people to space. Outer space is a quite challenging environment, as you probably know, and it has been asked, what should we do to make sure that those guys will come back alive and in good health? And of course they said, okay, we need specialized people. We need ophthalmologists, we need cardiologists, we need a neurologist, and put all those guys together around the table to make sure that everything will be fine. And then going on, they said, but maybe we can also have people that are just encompassing all those specialties together to make sure that they know what the challenging environment is and how the human body is coping with it. And this is now started to be called either environmental physiology or integrative physiology. That's where it comes from.
Going back in time, when was it that you realized that you wanted to do research and research within the medical field?
Well, I had something like 19 years old or 18 years old. I was already interested in understanding things and so on. That's normal for everyone, I think. But then my twin brother had a problem. He had a gymnastics accident and he broke his neck and is still nowadays tetraplegic, but he's very happy and having a nice life and so on. And I said, what can I try to learn a bit more on neurophysiology at that time? And I started to go on that direction. And then I said, but now what can I do with him to give him something nice to do, even with those kind of limitations? And I said, how can I get rid of gravity? The only way to get rid of gravity is either going to space or going underwater. And that's how diving started. And I started also to measure things on diving to know if those kind of disabilities could be compatible with diving. At that very time, nobody was really diving with disabled people. Nowadays, it's normal, but not at that time. So that's how it comes.
When I did my research before this talk here, I came across a quote, which I really enjoyed. And it was, Balestra has forever changed the way that dive research is conducted and the way we understand the physiology and biomechanics of diving. And I'm wondering, what change do you think the author is referring to here? What perspective did you bring to your field of research?
First of all, I might maybe go a bit further back in time. Diving medicine, or hyperbaric medicine as well, started upside down. We never took the time to really measure what happens in cells, then in tissues, then in little animals, then in bigger animals, then humans. We started from the beginning with humans because in 1905, we started to put people underwater and to build up what we call decompression tables to make sure that they will coming out alive. But just to let you know, decompression is something that you're experiencing also when you get out of the International Space Station. Extravehicular activities are actually decompression activities like divers, just to let you know how the continuum is there, you know. So, but then coming back to what happens to diving, we are just now learning on how tissues or other cells or signaling from the cells is challenged by either oxygen levels or diving pressure and so on. So we are just starting now to personalize a bit more on what happens underwater. And nowadays with technology, we can also understand that deltas, changes, are very powerful triggers. And diving is actually a lot of different changes. Temperature changes, PO2 level of oxygen changes, pressure changes, a lot of things.
Very interesting. And we've returned to the matter of oxygen a few times here. And oxygen is a key focus for your research. What is it with oxygen that entices you and keeps you interested?
Okay. Well, you know, we are using oxygen since years. And we know, well, we think we know everything about oxygen because we are using it. We know how to use it. We know that it can be toxic on high dose. We know what's the limit. But we don't know anything, to be honest, because we were just giving oxygen to, let's say, supplement what you were in need of. When you're hypoxic, not enough oxygen, we give you oxygen just to recover. That's the major use of it. We understand nowadays that, again, talking about deltas, variations, oxygen, when you increase a bit of oxygen, you're coming back to your normal level of oxygen, your body is reacting as if it was hypoxic, without hypoxia. And that's what we call the normal baric oxygen paradox, because it's paradoxical that you're giving oxygen and your body reacts as if it was in lack of oxygen. So that's the new way of understanding how to use oxygen. And we are just now trying to figure out how to be more precise, targeting the use of oxygen much better than before.
If we look at your life, it includes many different dimensions. It's teaching, it's research, it's contributing to work for agencies like the European Space Agency and NASA. What can a day in your work life look like?
Well, easy. Teaching, lab, family, and sometime a bit of time just for me, just like swimming or running or go for a bicycle run. But I'm a gymnast, so I like to go in the gym and doing some fancy thing around the bar or something like this.
I can imagine. Are you diving at all?
Well, I'm trying to do that. Last dive was 3 days ago. I was in Italy, in Padua, and they have a very deep dive pool there, 42 meters deep. And I was there just to do some measurement as well. So
how did it go?
Very nice.
Was it cold?
No, of course not.
You're wearing a proper...
No, you don't need that. And they have, it's thermal water.
Ah.
So they have to refresh it, to be honest, before put it in. So it's very nice. You should go there.
In all the work that you do you feel like you're facing any challenges at all? Is there anything that concerns you or...
Well, what concerns me right now is that people are too much, let's say, they think they know everything in diving. They know everything, how to cope with those challenging environments. And when you start to believe this, you're at risk. In any challenging environment, I'm quoting a very old motto, I can say. That was King Solomon. 1,000 years before Jesus Christ. He said something very interesting in challenging environment. He said, before crash, human heart is lofty. But before glory, you have humility. And if you don't apply this in very challenging environment, actually you're dead. You need to be humble. Don't think you know it all.
So humility and trying to find that kind of focus is one thing. Is there anything more that you would say motivates you and keeps you going?
You know, I think everyone who wants to search for new things to understand, so being thirsty of knowledge, but keeping it at the right level. Don't think you know it all, but because the more you know, the more you're also conscious you don't know anything. So that's a real point. That's why you cannot just say, stop, I'm done. You have to keep on going.
So that's what's driving you, the thirst.
Yeah, that's right. You know already about thirst.
If there's something you would wish that more people would know about health and extreme conditions or the research that you do, what would it be?
Well, to be honest, I would say that extreme conditions are actually a pretext, because extreme conditions, you know, you and I, we are in good health, right? But when you're not in good health, usual condition becomes an extreme condition for you. Or where you're aging, your normal environment, it starts to be challenging for you. So we are learning how to better age. We're learning how to better cure patients because we are studying extreme conditions. So there is a continuum out of this, but we need to open our eyes and to see that there is a continuum.
Okay, we will change things up a bit now, because now I have an element which is called either or. I will ask 5 questions. They are not scientifically proven to say anything about your personality, but I think they do anyways. And you will pick either X or Y. And you can say both or none if you have a very good motivation.
All right.
And normally I think the motivations are very good. So it should be totally fine. You ready? Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Of course, you're Italian.
That's right.
Should be coffee. The expected or the unexpected?
Unexpected.
Late night or early morning?
Both.
Why?
Because I recover very fast, so I don't have problems with
3 hours sleeping?
4.
4. That's not much.
No.
Carousel or roller coaster?
I would say carousel, but I want to explain a bit
Yeah.
why. A roller coaster, it's just searching for adrenaline. I'm not searching for adrenaline, but I like also to have challenging situations. So if I have to choose, I will choose safety. So carousel.
That was a very good motivation, I must say. Comedy show or opera?
I like opera.
Yeah? So if we leave research aside for a while, what do you do when you're not working? We went into it briefly before, but
Sleep. No.
4 hours.
Yeah, well, the idea is really when I'm not doing anything and I'm just sit down here and even watch TV or something, I'm just sleeping. I'm just
Resting,
yeah,
recovering.
yeah. Now,
You
if you ask me, if you ask me if I have some activities, of course, I know I like to do sports and diving, also climbing, a lot of different things, but not in a very, let's say, regular way, routine way. Yeah. My routine is the no routine.
The routine is the no routine.
Right.
It might be a key takeaway. You mentioned your twin brother earlier, and you have actually written a book together.
Yeah.
And it's not on physiology.
No.
It is on communications.
Yes.
How did the idea come about?
All right. It's a French book, just to let you know, but it's introduction to communic action. That's the idea. How does that come from? Well, how it came out because as twins, we had a very good level of communication together, and we had to choose. Either we were sticking just in our little world together, and or see how we could increase our level of communication with others, and we choose the second, let's say, option. And one time we said, well, one of these days we should write a book on that. And well, my twin brother, he is a lawyer, and I'm not. So he was just putting down things that he knew as a lawyer, and I was putting down things that I knew as a physiologist. And then we had a friend of us, a third friend of us, that was actually searching for a new job because he was specialized in communication as well. And he said, okay, if you want to, just write the book with us. And we did that book.
Incredible. And the book focuses on interaction between people. Do you have some key takeaways or tips for how we can improve our interaction with others?
Well, you know, the funny thing about communication is that you cannot fake it. You know, pretend until you do it doesn't work. You have to be true. Real true. If you're not true with yourself, your communication will be wrong. And we are pretty good at spotting this as humans. Since years, we are developing a lot of different keynotes points that we can pointing to anyone else and the way he was looking at us and the way he was opening his arms or closing his arms. Well, body talk tells too much. Even if you're not conscious of what you learn from the other one, you will learn and you will have your own opinion. So be true, and then your communication will be nice as well.
Do you see synergies between the work you did here with communications and the other work you do in your profession as a researcher?
Well, researcher and teacher. So when you're a teacher, I always say somehow that communication is also theater, because you're giving a performance not for you, for the people in front of you. So you have to do everything you can to let them understand a free way to understand things, not imposing your way, because as you might know, communication can be manipulation as well. So you need to be conscious that you are manipulating somehow because you are leading them in a direction, because that's communication as well. But they have to keep their freedom to choose and to understand. So give them enough to understand. Very, very often nowadays, it's the option of the need to know. What you need to know, not more. I'm not very happy with that. I think you need to give them a bit more to make sure that they will choose what they need to know.
If we turn back to your career and look back through the years, is there anything in particular that you would highlight as one of your greatest achievement, or something that you enjoyed the most with what you've done?
If I have to be very, very, very honest, I spent my life for 14 years helping my twin brother to be happy, and that's my first achievement. Then I can tell the second one is probably not spoiling my marriage and having a nice family right now. That's the second achievement. So, you know, research or teaching or your job, it's good. But the first ones are your family and your relatives.
If we remain in the professional sphere just a little bit longer and look to the work you did with NASA and the European Space Agency, how was it contributing to those projects that are really large and would impact the whole world and outer world, perhaps?
Well, I can tell you, when I was first called by NASA, I thought it was a joke, because that was my first paper on cardiology that I published. Actually, they said, that cannot be. I just published one paper on this, and they are calling me right now. I said, there's something wrong. And we were, to make it clear, we were having a drink in the lab with the other colleagues. And I took the letter that I received. It was sent by FedEx or something like this, or DHL, whatever. And I said, that's rubbish. And I put it in the trash can. And well, one of my lady colleagues there, her husband was director of DHL or FedEx, I don't know what. And she said, no, 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 it cannot be a joke, because when I see what was on the envelope, it comes really from there and there and there. And I said, oh, that's probably true then. So I went back to the trash can and opened the thing. And then I went to NASA giving my talk and so on. And we kept some connections.
So NASA almost literally ended up in the trash.
Well,
but you managed to recover it.
The letter.
Incredible. Is there any objective that you are working towards? Any goal you have in mind that you want to achieve?
Well, I'm keeping on understanding a bit better what happens with oxygen, but I still have a few experiments to do or to be done, because we are not using even hyperbaric medicine to the full right now. So we don't know if we cannot do better than we do now. So that's my goal. Try to do a bit better than what we do right now.
And if we would have to choose another path, let's say you would have to re-choose a career path, nothing within the medical sphere, what would you be today?
Well, I probably keep on going on education or a collaboration with other countries or something, building up new things, or even schools or even music schools, whatever. I don't know exactly, but I will keep on being in contact with people and try to put them in a higher level or something, collaborate with sportsmen. I'm still working with people going to the Olympic Games right now on oxygen levels and so on. So it goes with sportsmen as well. Yeah.
Very interesting, I must say. And soon up and coming then with the Olympics.
In Paris, you know what it is.
Yeah. So here at MedCup now we have young aspiring medical students who might want to choose a path like you or becoming doctors. What would you what advice or what would you tell them or yourself when you were in your 20s, if you could?
Well, I can quote what I already said, be humble and never give up. We already said that, but there is another way of saying this. Einstein was saying that having a happy life is an easy equation. A equals B plus C, right? A is happy life or good life, whatever you want. B is enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is quite a nice word. Entheos in Greek means that you're inhabited by God. So you're full of energy, jumping all over and so on. And B, so this is enthusiasm, A, and B is the capability of keeping your lips shut. So one is enthusiasm, the other was close your big mouth. And if you put together and you cope with those two different things, you can have a very happy life.
With those words, thank you very much, Dr. Balestra, for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
It is a pleasure for me as well. Thanks.
Thank you.